Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr,
I'm Brad Broaddus.
And I'm J.E. Dameron.
and it is another beautiful day here in the hills of eastern Kentucky. We have a very, very special guest with us coming from Louisville, Kentucky, State Representative Charles Booker. Thanks for coming on, sir.
Of course, good to be with you, brother.
All right, man, appreciate that. Representative Booker serves in the Kentucky House of Representatives for the 43rd District and is currently Kentucky's youngest black state lawmaker. Booker is a member of the Democratic Party and is running for the Democratic nomination for Mitch McConnell's Kentucky Senate seat in the 2020 election. So, yeah, man, can you tell me, because I'm really not sure, what area does the 43rd District cover?
Yeah, so the 43rd District covers a big part of Jefferson County, as far west as you can go, which is a lot of the west end of Louisville, where I'm from, which actually includes what has for years been the poorest zip code in the state. And then it goes through downtown Louisville, so it picks up the Central Business District, and then goes east in some of the wealthiest zip codes in Kentucky. And so it's a very diverse district, and really it is gerrymandered for sure. But it's certainly an example of the fact that we're all in this together. And, even though I represent the 43rd District, everywhere I go, I make it clear I represent the people of Kentucky. And I'm privileged to do it.
So you come from Louisville, and you're in the 43rd District and, the House of Representatives. It's like, what was the decision like to, decide that I would give this Senate seat a run? Like, what was that process for you?
Yeah, a whole lot of prayer, man, and convincing my wife that I wasn't crazy.
How'd that go?
Yeah, no, that's a battle I'm just not gonna win. I already gave up. But man, I got into politics really out of survival. Like I don't come from this stuff. Both my parents dropped out of high school. I come from a really big family. My granddad was a farmer, then he got into construction, and so we're just hardworking people. And I saw a lot of struggle that really pissed me off, and I wanted to do something about it. So I go to Frankfurt after working in every level of government. So I've worked in public service at the local, state, and federal level. And I call myself a good troublemaker, man. I get in there how we need to shake shit up. Excuse my language, but this is y'all already working on bourbon. But I look how to get in there. So that energy of like, how do we disrupt the status quo that's really keeping people broke and broken, really just lit a fire in me to consider this race because, and y'all know this, that Mitch McConnell is at the center of so much of what does and doesn't happen in Kentucky. And when you see it up close about how he controls the state legislature, there really is no question. We got to get him out of there. And that's not a partisan statement. We got to get him out of there.
Right. I'm down with it. So far, what's your experience been, man? Like on the campaign trail, you're kind of fighting against, not only the Republican side, but your own party too. I know you've had some beef. You had to. So what's that been like?
Yeah, man. I'm taking on the machine, and that's not partisan, man. So I got to beat it on the Democratic side, and I'll beat Mitch McConnell too, and we will. Because people are fed up. He was elected 2 weeks after I was born. And so this man's really been screwing us my entire life. And again, it's not a partisan thing when you see so many people struggling. And I'm a type 1 diabetic. I've had to ration my insulin. We couldn't afford it. And, I've had family members that have battled opioid addiction. And I've had cousins murdered the last 4 years. And just seen a whole lot, man. So compared to all of that, taking on Mitch McConnell is nothing. But you're right. He got a lot of money. He's an institution. He plays dirty. And, the way Democrats have ran for years is sort of run away from him, to play this game where, I'm not as bad as him, vote for me. And people are tired of BS, So it's been a wild ride. It's been a journey. It's been humbling, though, man, because, people that know my work and know how I stand up, I call out everybody. My first run for political office was actually against a Democratic incumbent. And because, for me, ending poverty is not really defined by party. And to speak with moral clarity, to, when I speak on the issue, I'm shooting it straight with you. We've inspired a lot of people to get involved that have never got involved in politics before. And for me, that's the real win. That's how you beat Mitch McConnell. because after that, we got a lot of work to do.
One question I had for you is, Louisville and Lexington are a huge concentration of the voting base for the state. However, that doesn't necessarily represent the state as a whole. Like us specifically here in Eastern Kentucky, in a lot of ways, we feel like we've kind of been left behind.
Yeah.
And I know you said you had a very diverse district, but just to cover the different pockets in the state, how do you bridge that gap to understand the needs for everybody?
Yeah, that's an important question, but two, that is the work, that is our collective work to win our future for Kentucky, man. We gotta have leaders that can get out of the silos and really see how we can represent the needs all across Kentucky, because a whole lot of people feel ignored, feel abandoned, and have really been left behind by a government that we pay for. And one of the most important points for me as a candidate that I want to do justice by is, man, when you talk about Louisville and like the rest of the state, and I've heard that for years. Like I said, I was a director of Fish and Wildlife. I worked all over Kentucky, and I know there's a lot of dynamics there about, how Louisville and Lexington, even in the rest of the state. But man, when you're from the west end of Louisville, which is an area about 75,000 people, like our infrastructure is really bad. There is like 1.5 sit-down restaurants, give or take, a lot of dollar stores. We got 2 grocery stores, like one Kroger. We got 2 Krogers. One's just not that good. And then, if you need public transportation, if you don't have a car, you ain't got a lot of money, and our unemployment in my neighborhood has been around 30% for years. If you need public transportation to get to the hospital, for instance, it could take you a couple hours to do. And so we have much more in common with Appalachia than we do the rest of Louisville, to be honest with you. And it's just that no one ever hears us either. Like, we're invisible. That has really been like a driving force for me, one in the legislature, but certainly now in this campaign, is that we got to break those barriers down, man. And I spent some time out in Martin County and sat down with folks, and like when I tell my story, not playing politics, just tell my story and then listen to folks. We always see how much we have in common, and that's why my campaign is it's not even really about beating Mitch. We got to beat him, but it's really about how do we end poverty, generational poverty, and that is the part that I think is inspiring a lot of people. That are like, okay, wait a minute, we got a regular guy that's from Kentucky that's actually fighting for us, that knows what the struggle is about. And it gives us a chance to build, and I'm not asking for folks to agree with me on every issue, but you know what I'm standing for. You know what I show up for. And I'm on the front lines with you. And that makes a difference. Last point I would just raise is that, man, one of the biggest things I try to communicate, especially with folks in East Kentucky, and it's not, we don't feel abandoned. We've been abandoned, is that you can't have leadership that comes in and tries to talk at people and say, all right, let me fix you. Let me tell you what you need, and let me tell you what you believe. Hey, you're going to vote for a pro-Trump Democrat because I don't really care what you think. People are tired of that, man, and it doesn't lead to real change. And so our job as leaders is to say, what's important to you? How do I become accountable to you? Because that Senate seat, that ain't Mitch's. That's the people of Kentucky. That's y'all's seat, man.
Yeah. So, like, let's get to the nuts and bolts of just a little bit. Like, what is your, like, like in the eastern part of the state, our coal industry is, basically dried up at this point.
Yeah.
And we've really relied on it for a long time. Myself as a coal miner, I've, fed my family, with on the back of coal mines.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, so how do we move forward away off coal? Like, because coal, I don't think it's ever going to make a comeback the way it has before. So, like, what's your plan to get these places that have been sucking on that coal hit for so long to do something new?
Yeah, man. First of all, I want to honor you in that question, man, because, and that's another thing where, I mentioned how big the area that I live in. Like, we've had industries leave. Like, there's a lot of unemployment. Folks' livelihood has been taken away, and that was really the reason when I saw those miners, the Black Jewels, stand on the tracks. I was like, man, I got to go out there and be with them. That's my family right there. I know what that's about. And the first thing we need is a leader that can look you in the eyes and say, yeah, those coal jobs ain't coming back. The way the economy is changing, the way the industry is changing, the way that we've been really, And there's a lot of things that have gone into that. And a lot of it has really been that the people of Kentucky, weren't the factor in the equation in a lot of decisions that have been made. And, now it's a matter of your livelihood is going away. What do we do? And my response is, well, we need to let the people lead. And that is why I support a Green New Deal. My thing is, you got to take the politics away. Let's not even call it a Green New Deal. Let's cut through that. How are we creating more jobs, good paying jobs? And how are we investing in new industries where folks can have a chance to be owners, business owners? So, for instance, renewable energy, there is an incredible opportunity in Kentucky. And I'll tell you, when I stood with some of those miners, I've kept contact with a couple of them that I've worked with in Frankfurt, and a couple of folks in Martin County too, that, folks talk about, well, I'd love to go into, solar. I'd love to do, carpentry. I'd love to do other trades, do other things, but we don't have any options. We don't have any choices. Let's leverage our federal government to invest in us being able to create more opportunity for ourselves and infrastructure to do it. I know y'all know how it is, and man, I'm in what we call a digital desert. And a lot of East Kentucky is dealing with that too, man, where the internet is crap. And we don't have the infrastructure to even, we want to pursue education, you want to start a business, you're working from home. A lot of these things that other people take for granted, because I've lived that too, it allows me to be in tune with that. And so I think that's the opportunity. That is also why, and I know we talked about it a little bit before the show, but I support new industries. I definitely support legalization. I think we got to be looking at ways to allow more folks to have ownership, have more local dollars circulating in our tax structure, and creating opportunities instead of criminalizing people. We criminalize poverty a whole lot in Kentucky, more than most people on the planet, and we can address that and help people get on pathways to live better lives too.
That's something you had said earlier, because you're right. I have been in Louisville several times. My daughters, they'll dance and we go to Beta Club competitions there. But there was a point in Louisville, and I can't even remember the street name, but I think it is the West Side, where you literally go across the street and it's like you're in a different place.
Yes. Yeah, it's called the 9th Street Divide. That's what
9th Street Divide, yeah. And I feel like that, Eastern Kentucky, you said it, it's a lot like that. And one of the things I wanted you to comment on is, of course, here in Martin County, it's been nationally publicized. We've had issues with our water, and I am the chair of the water board here now. And we're making great progress, but I almost do you feel like we need to start just that basic, get our infrastructure in line, and then we can because I agree with you 100% about, we almost need to get our internet in here. There was a couple of counties I've read about where they have like the fastest internet in Kentucky, and there's jobs like Apple and places like that are coming in from a technology standpoint. Do you feel like we need to start that basic, like water, power grid, internet, and then kind of build up?
Yeah, that's really why my platform, like when people ask me what am I fighting for, I always talk about poverty first. So, we got to get our foundation together, which means we're investing in people from the start, man. And I mentioned, internet, because that is a utility now, man. You got to have it, as we can see here. But the same thing with water, man. High utility costs, or if you have it at all, that folks dealing with water that's brown and orange, irritating your skin. You have to boil it before you can drink it. All these types of things just speak to the fact that our infrastructure has been broken and really abandoned for a long time. And we need federal leadership to invest in that, and not just say the only thing we can afford is water that's not clean in private prisons. And so, I'm fighting for that all the way, because ultimately that's how we get to a better place to deal with a whole host of other issues. And I've been on the front lines fighting, man. I think that's why we're getting a lot of support, because I'm telling my story. I'm not waiting for the polls to tell me what to believe, or like some consultants to tell me, yeah, Charles, talk about that. And I think that's why it's making a difference.
So the other question I had, and this is something that I hear a lot, specifically when it comes to this particular Senate seat, is a lot of people don't even know that they like McConnell, or they don't know him, or or whatever. Mm-hmm. But you'll hear a lot, well, he is one of the most powerful politicians in the country. Maybe the second most powerful person in politics. So what do you believe as a junior senator going in that you could do more than McConnell? Because it seems like that's what a lot of people, the reason they vote for McConnell is because he's so high up in leadership. What would you as a junior senator, how could you do more?
Yeah, that's such an important point, man. Because first of all, I'll tell you this, and I'll just be straight up and down with you. Mitch McConnell's weak. What he has is a lot of influence. He has one of the most important seats in the country, but he's not using that to help the people in Kentucky. And to me, there's no way you can look me in the eye and say you're powerful if you look at any measurable index of good quality of life in your state's damn near at the bottom of it. That's weak to me. And I think there's a reality here. And I'll tell you, from working in every level of government and seeing how this stuff works, we beat Mitch McConnell, we're going to come in with a whole lot of leverage, because it's not only the people of Kentucky that are looking to get rid of him. This man, he has built his power on being able to keep control, not necessarily delivering results. And the results that he does provide are for the folks that he sold out to, big pharmaceutical industry. Go down the list. He's essentially out for the highest bidder. And by replacing that, we have a lot of leverage that we can use to push for immediate progress. Like I support everybody having healthcare, man. I think that's an economic policy just as much as it is a health policy. I mean, if you're healthy, you're able to work, you're able to start a business, advance your education. I believe that we should have a universal basic income. The reason I do is because we've been getting robbed. So many people in Kentucky, and y'all know it, down in East Kentucky, that folks work day in, day out. You're not looking for a handout. You're busting your ass. You're just trying to get by. These corporations are making record profits, in many cases not paying taxes, getting all these loopholes, incentives to put more money into their pockets. How do we make sure people that are actually doing the work get more of their fair share when the wealth gap is getting bigger and bigger? And so that's another reason why I support that. But there's a big coalition. We got to be clear, man. This pandemic is making it known that, the thread is snapping for a whole lot of folks. Like I said, unemployment in my neighborhood has been around 30%. I know y'all know that story. Now that a lot of people are losing their jobs and they're losing their health care too, now they're like, well, we need to do something. And that gives a chance for someone like me that's been yelling, like, hey, pay attention to people. Now we don't sound so crazy, and I hate that it's had to be a pandemic to show that, but we got a responsibility to use this moment to build a new coalition so that this doesn't happen again for folks.
So what do you say about, I know you spoke a little bit about, how long some people have been in office, right, for our entire lives. And that is a bipartisan thing on both sides. We have people that have been in Washington for my entire life, and they come in, as a senator or whatever, they're making $225 a year, have a normal net worth, and then 15, 20 years later, they're worth $100 million, and their constituents their lives have not changed at all. So I was just curious, what's your opinion on term limits?
Yeah, I fully support term limits. That's one reason why it was easy for me to run for this seat. I'm not in it for politics. I won my seat in the state house by nearly 80%. And I knew if I ran for re-election, because of all the work I'd done, I got bipartisan legislation passed, even with Matt Bevin there, that, I probably would have been unopposed in that seat. But it ain't my seat. This is the people's seat. And the question has to be how we actually push for real change so that nobody else has to ration their insulin or have their lights cut off because they couldn't afford it, And so that for me is, I'm not trying to build a career out of this, man. I don't want to grow old up there. I got 2 girls, man, and I want to devote my time to them. I got, a lot of family. I told you I got a real big family. I want to be around them and grow and thrive and build, in my community and see Kentucky grow. So I'm not trying to build a career out of this. This is really, I know if we beat Mitch McConnell, we can do a whole hell of a lot of good real fast. And I think by having more regular folks in office instead of career politicians at the local and state level too, we can do a whole lot of good, man. And it don't have to take long. We underestimate how much he's been blocking progress.
So one of the things that is near to me, man, like I feel like, in these poverty-stricken areas of Kentucky, we got a lot of talented people, though, people who can carve, people who can, good musicians, people, artists. And so one of my pet peeves is the National Endowment of the Arts, like funding, man. So, like, are you a big supporter of that? Like, do you think that's something that we need to stress going forward, you know, in our cultures moving forward? You know, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I love the fact that you shared that, man. I fully agree. I think one of the things that we don't get to really have a chance to explore or appreciate is our creativity. You know, so when you're dealing with so much struggle, you're just trying to get by and put food on the table. It's like we don't even get a chance to live out our dreams. We don't get a chance to be creative. And that ain't just for the sake of doing it. It's education. It's empowerment. That type of culture is good for our communities. It builds togetherness, and it's a way to create jobs. So I fully support it, which is why in terms of music, like I love music.
Yeah.
You know, I like to say I was an artist at one point.
Here we go.
Yeah, I did a little rap against Matt Bevin. I don't know if y'all saw that, you know, and I had Mitch too. I'm not a rapper, man. I'm not a rapper, but
come on, you can't say that not rap.
I don't want to hurt y'all too bad, man. I feel like but no, I do fully support it. I think we need to invest in it more. Even if you don't go to college, you should be able to have resources to be creative at home. I was actually working for a nonprofit here in Louisville. It's a gallery space, but it's specifically focused on folks that typically don't get a chance to get involved in the arts. And what we would do is feature their work. We would help connect them to, you know, like the commercial market so that they can sell their art. We need more tools like that. Again, that's breaking down barriers to opportunity for folks, man.
So one of the things that really affects us here, or has affected Eastern Kentucky, is the opioid epidemic. And we have done, a series ourselves trying to understand, what caused the opioid epidemic and its impact on our communities. As someone, and I would have to guess it's probably the same all over the state. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Louisville probably has similar issues as Eastern Kentucky does in that regard. So what's your thought on how do we tackle that epidemic? And like you said, the criminalization, we're criminalizing a lot of poverty, man. And a lot of that has to do with poverty. Yeah. So what's your take on how do we attack that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that I'll stress here, and I appreciate you hearing me when I say that we criminalize poverty, because we're creating a cycle. Folks are in pain, they suffering, they struggling, and we have these pharmaceutical industries who know that these opioids are addictive, and they're targeting communities that don't have the resources to get the treatments they need otherwise. And you're exactly right, man. We feel that here. I've lost a loved one because of it, and part of what we need to do is hold them accountable. Which we won't get from Mitch McConnell. I told you I'm a type 1 diabetic, man. One of the things I've been fighting for in the state legislature is lowering prescription costs. Like for insulin, for instance, I take 2 types of insulin. It could easily be over $1,000 a month, depending on your insurance. And sometimes I just couldn't afford it, man. And so I've actually, one of the guys I work with, his name's Danny Bentley from Greenup. That's my brother now. We've been working on helping to lower prescription costs. He's a Republican. There's a lot of things that we don't see eye to eye on. But, somebody's going to fight him. They got to fight me first, man. And I think people really appreciate that type of energy and leadership too. But while we were working on lowering costs, Mitch McConnell was blocking the federal legislation to do it and getting kickbacks from the pharmaceutical industry while it was happening last year. And so, I think just understanding that getting rid of him again allows us to get a lot of progress there. But the other thing too is we got to realize a lot of the reason that folks are getting harmed by these types of drugs that they were, and some folks were really taking because they were hurting real bad, and then they got addicted, is that if we make sure people have quality health care so that they are able to prevent, those types of harms from happening and get treatment along the way, that will help there as well. But then also, man, that's another reason why I support legalization. I was a co-sponsor for medicinal cannabis. One, because we know, now you can't study it because it's cannabis is still Schedule 1. We need to
Schedule 1, yeah.
Yeah, we need to address that. And they know what we know what that's about. But the fact is, we need to be looking at ways that we can help folks heal without it being about how to pad the pockets of these big industries. So that's why I'm not taking money from them. You know, I made it clear up front. I ain't taking those big pack checks. All of our money is coming from regular folks. And we've done a hell of a job building the infrastructure we need to win this primary, and we will win.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, we had Dr. Jared Madden on this podcast a while ago. You know, he was at the forefront of the medical marijuana debate as well. And one of the things that he brought up was, you know, not only is it medicine, but it's a very big economic catalyst for our state. I mean, I know some people that can really grow some weed, man. I'm gonna tell you.
And listen, man, Kentucky's one of the best places to grow it too, man. Like if you think about geography, man. So you helping folks heal, you can create a whole lot of jobs. And again, we make sure that ownership is in the community, especially places that have been abandoned. I mean, you're talking about reigniting new economies. And that's just one example.
Good deal. All right, fellas, we got any other, you know, just before we get to the real hard hitting questions?
Yeah.
Do we have anything else for our state rep?
No, man, I'm good with his answers, but we got to get these hard hitting questions over.
Yeah. All right. So it's time to get serious. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, Brad, or what, we're going to start with JD's or Brad's? Let's go with JD's first.
All right. So look, this is very serious now. All right. So the movie Top Gun, you see, right? Like Goose dies, and Rocky IV, Apollo Creed dies. Which one's more devastating to you, man? Like which one's the more dramatic, cinematic death? I'm going with Apollo.
I was definitely going to say Apollo, you know, but some of that is sort of generational too for me though, because, you know, being able to see the journey, you know, and you knew Apollo he was cooking them. And yes, I got to give it to them. Yeah, that hurt. That hurt the family.
All right, Brad.
Now we've talked about a lot of things that could be considered controversial so far. Okay, so this is going to be about as close as Just Add Bourbon gets to ambush journalism here. Okay, if you're ready. Regardless of everything we've talked about, there is one thing in this state that is more polarizing than the elephants versus the donkeys, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you, is it Wildcats or Cardinals? And no politician answers now.
Yeah, no, I got to give you the real answer. So first of all, if they playing each other, I got to go for U of L. That's the school I went, you know, undergrad law school. You know, it's my first introduction to basketball. But I got to tell you, man, we've had some fights in the family because my cousin is Winston Bennett.
Oh, yeah, I love Winston, man.
One of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, we were all celebrating. You know, he got the championship. You know, as part of assistant coach, and so when they're not playing each other, you know, I'm like, cool. I got to go for Kentucky schools. I want to see a championship between U of L and UK. That's my hope for one day. You know, but yeah, when they playing each other, I tell cousin, you know, I love you, man, but I got to go for the Cards on this one. And I'll show some love to UK the next day. You know?
Right. I can respect that. I mean, you know, especially since Winston's your cousin, I can respect that. But if you'd have come on here and said, look, you know, down with the Cats, you know, because I'll throw you nails down right now. Yeah. But no, man, cool. What's that?
I said I respect it. I was gonna say I see the decal behind you, man. I respect it, brother.
Yeah, you know how it is. I got to, you know, my AD. So, man, seriously, we really appreciate you coming on with us, and I apologize that we had some technical difficulties trying to get us going. But, you know, for the people that are going to watch this this video and listen to our podcast, where can they go to find out more about you?
Yeah. And thank y'all again, man. Now, y'all didn't meet me personally before. I look forward to getting some bourbon with y'all, especially, you know, seeing some of those acres, man. But we family. That's what this means to me. And I would love for people to get involved and just check me out, see what I'm standing for, hold me accountable. It's bookerforkentucky.com. It's actually behind my head. Bookerforkentucky.com. And one of the big things that I would share is that we're doing a lot of organizing where folks are getting involved from the couch, kitchen table. I don't care if you've never been involved in politics before. Now's the time to get involved. And it ain't even just about Mitch, it's about us.
Cool, man. Well, man, like I said, we really appreciate you coming on. Enjoyed listening to your side and getting to know you.
Anytime you're this way, man, we get some bourbon. You hear me?
I'm taking you up on it, man. And look, I'm gonna be earning.
Hey, I'm down.
Well, I heard when you were in town. Did you go to Metro Billy's to Mickey and Nina McCoy? Is that where you went?
Yeah. And you know they awesome. They awesome. Yeah.
They was our teachers in high school. Me and Jimmy done.
Oh man, I'm not. Yeah. Man, I'm jealous of y'all.
Yeah, Mickey. They're both wonderful people, man.
Yeah, good folks. So, man, like I said, we appreciate you coming on, and for the people watching, where you can check us out. Of course, it's Podbean. That's what we launched from. You can get us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Of course, the social media, Facebook, Twitter, and was the other one, Facebook, Instagram. Did I say Facebook already? Yeah, social media, we're everywhere. Yeah, but no, as we always end the show, from myself, from JD, and from Brad, and today from Representative Booker, no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. Thanks for checking us out, guys.